Euan Rellie. He is the co-founder and senior managing director at BDA Partners, and we are at the 2023 Leadership and Deal-Making Summit today, hosted by the M&A Advisor. Thank you so much for being here, Euan.
Thank you for having me, Liana.
So Euan, tell me a little bit about your work that you're currently doing at BDA Advisors.
So what I'm currently doing is 27 years into this business. I co-founded BDA in 1996 when I was 28 years old, and now I'm 55 years old. So it's been a slow build, and today we have about 150 bankers spread around the world. We do about 30 transactions a year, mostly selling companies for private equity firms. And most of our deals are cross-border in some way or other. They mostly touch Asia somehow.
So Euan, you are being recognized with probably our most important award this evening at our gala tonight. If you wouldn't mind telling us about your award and why you're being recognized, I would love that.
Well, I didn't pick myself to be recognized, but I'm flattered. I'm flattered to be being named for leadership in the industry. I think maybe it's because in the 27 years that we've been in business, we've probably had 1,000 young people join our firm, and I believe we've helped them advance their careers around the world. And we've had young women and men from many different backgrounds come to BDA, and many of those people have gone on to have great careers, both inside our firm and often outside as well.
And so looking into the future, what are some particular sectors or geographies that you're excited about that you think are poised for action?
Well, we have historically done a lot of work in China, which is super difficult today. Right. Both political parties in the US are quite worried about China in most cases for good reasons. But actually we're seeing quite a lot of activity there. So although US companies are scared to invest in China at the moment, we're seeing the private equity industry continue to look pretty hard at China. Valuations are down so sharply that there are some great deals getting done. And honestly, we're also helping US corporates to sell businesses in China that they don't want anymore. So I think even though China is out of fashion today, it's an important part of our business. But we've also found real success in recent years in India and Vietnam, to name two countries, particularly in the health, tech, and consumer spaces.
And have you always focused on those spaces, or what have been your sort of sectors of favor in the past and now in the present?
In the early days of BDA, we did a lot of industrial deals, automotive, chemicals, and different types of industrial deals, because that was where the action was. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, investors around the world are more interested in the growth industries, and we can earn often better fees working in those higher growth industries like branded consumer, healthcare services particularly, and tech-enabled services.
And how do you market your firm's services to different companies requiring your advisory work as the trends are changing in M&A?
Well, it's a people business, and ultimately we're paid for the results for getting deals done, but actually we're also paid for quality of advice, which is quite a difficult thing to sell. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to prove that you're going to give the wisest or best advice. Of course, our track record is helpful. The fact that we've been working across Asia for over 25 years, I think reassures people. I also think that we're kind of a mid-sized firm now. We've gone beyond the kind of small startup stage. But I think the clients who hire us, historically they would have used bulge bracket investment banks more often. But I think sometimes they like the sense that the senior leadership of our firm is really engaged in the, in that advisory work. So if they hire us, they probably hope to get more attention from our managing directors and partners. Whereas if you hire a big firm, big investment bank, the deal may get lost if it's a mid-sized deal, and suddenly you've got junior people running the deal, and that's not as successful.
Yeah, you don't want to be a smaller fish in a bigger pond with some of these things.
Hopefully we're the Goldilocks size now that we're big enough to be credible, but still small enough to be responsive, and that have that sense of that we'll hustle to get stuff done. For sure.
And so we've been talking a little bit about cross-border activity, and you mentioned places like India. Do you see any challenges or opportunities on the horizon for international deal makers, and maybe some specific examples of those different regions we just talked about?
Sure. I think international cross-border has a higher degree of difficulty because we're trying to bridge culture gaps, quite often language gaps as well, and it's tougher. The more different people are, the further away they are from each other, the harder it is to get deals done. So there are some challenges. But having said that, the good news for us is that the private equity industry has really got going across Asia in the last few years. And I think as people have maybe turned away from China to some degree, some of the investors are looking for the markets in which there's really high growth and opportunity. India's performing great. And actually, there's a real connectivity. We see a lot of companies in India. I'll mention one. We sold a business called R Systems to Blackstone here in the U.S. Actually, Blackstone has a good team in India, but it was an Indian tech-enabled services company, and really fast-growing. The addressable market is so huge because India's such a rapidly growing and populous country. That really appealed to Blackstone, and consequently we were able to get a really good price for the client and for the company, and we enjoyed a good fee as a result of that.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us here this week and today, and we're very honored to have you here to receive your leadership award.
It's very flattering. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Euan. I'm Leanna Hawkins, and this is M&A TV.